Christmas dinner. Family laughing, tree glowing, plates full. And then he stood up, raised his glass, and destroyed me with 7 words. "You're a burden. Get out of my house." So I stood up too, and I made him pay. My name is Noah. I'm 23 years old, and last Christmas was the moment everything changed. I used to be the golden boy, the favorite child. Top of my class, I got straight A's. I was always on the honor roll. When I graduated from high school, the whole church clapped for me. I even got a scholarship to study mechanical engineering at a big university. My dad used to tell everyone, "That boy right there, he's going to change the world." He was proud of me. Everyone was. But all of that ended after the accident. It was raining that night. I was coming back from school to surprise my mom for her birthday. I had flowers in the back seat. Then, a truck lost control on the wet road. Boom! My car flipped 3 times. I don't remember much, just glass, screaming, pain in my ribs, the world spinning, and then silence. When I woke up in the hospital, everything felt wrong. I couldn't sleep at night. My heart would race for no reason. Loud sounds made me panic. I didn't want to eat. I couldn't sit in a class full of people anymore. My brain felt broken. The doctors called it PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I called it a nightmare. I dropped out of school after that. I felt like a failure, like I let everyone down. When I came back home, I thought things would be better. I thought home meant safety. But I was wrong. At first, Mom was sweet. She cooked my favorite meals. She told me to rest. She prayed for me every night. But Dad, he just stared at me. Every time I sat on the couch, he'd sigh loud enough for the whole world to hear. When I forgot to wash a plate, he'd say, "So, now you can't even clean? What exactly are you good for?" I heard him on the phone once, talking to Uncle James. He said, "Noah used to be something. Now he just walks around like a ghost. Useless." That word hit me like a slap. Useless. I tried. I really did. I applied for jobs, but nobody wanted to hire someone who couldn't focus or who looked nervous in interviews. Sometimes I would lock myself in the bathroom and cry quietly, biting a towel so no one heard me. My siblings came home too. My older sister Chloe was now a doctor. She wore fancy coats and talked like she knew everything. My younger brother Sam had just become a lawyer. He brought home a new girlfriend who called me the weird one. No one looked at me the same anymore. I became the shadow in the room, the one they stepped over, the one who didn't get asked questions at the table, the one who wasn't doing well. Then came Christmas. Our living room looked perfect. The tree sparkled, the lights blinked slowly, the dining table was full. Turkey, mashed potatoes, fried rice, jollof rice, pies, cakes, wine. Too much food, too many smiles that felt fake. I sat at the far end of the table, next to the window. I wore an old sweater that didn't fit right. My hair was messy. I hadn't taken a proper picture in a year. Everyone was laughing, telling stories, talking about vacations and job offers and houses they wanted to buy. I just listened. Then my dad stood up. He held his wine glass high and said, "I want to give a toast." Everyone cheered. He pointed to Chloe and said, "To my daughter, the pride of our family, saving lives every day." They clapped. He turned to Sam and to my son, brilliant lawyer, the youngest partner at his firm. More clapping. Then his eyes moved to me. He stared for too long. I felt my stomach twist. Then he said it, slowly, like he had been waiting to drop the bomb. And to Noah, you're a burden. Get out of my house. The room went silent. Forks froze mid-air. My sister's wine glass stopped at her lips. Even the Christmas music playing in the background suddenly sounded like noise. No one said a word. Not Chloe, not Sam, not even Mom. My heart started pounding, but I didn't cry. I stood up. Slowly, my chair made a screeching sound on the floor. I looked around the room. No one could meet my eyes. I didn't say anything. I just turned and walked away, out the door, into the cold. The snow was falling, soft and quiet. I walked for a long time that night. My fingers were freezing. My face was wet, but I couldn't tell if it was from the snow or my tears. I sat on a bench near the church. I looked up at the stars and whispered, maybe I am a burden. And then something deep inside me whispered back, no, Noah, you're just not what they expected, but that doesn't mean you're nothing. That's when something snapped in me, not in a bad way, in a powerful way. That was the night I stopped begging for love. The night I realized if they didn't want me at their table, I'd build my own. And it all started right there on that cold bench, alone, with snow in my hair and fire in my chest.
The next morning, I packed a small bag and left before anyone woke up. No note, no goodbye. Just gone. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't even care. I had $46 in my wallet, a phone with a cracked screen, and a jacket with a broken zipper. That was it. I stayed in a cheap motel that smelled like old socks. The bed was hard, the heater barely worked, but at least I could breathe. No whispers, no looks, no fake smiles, just silence. I started sleeping during the day and walking at night. I liked the quiet streets. The cold air helped me think. My head was still a mess. Flashbacks from the accident, the sound of metal crunching, my own scream, then Dad's voice, you're a burden. Those words replayed in my head every day, like a song I hated but couldn't turn off. I didn't talk to anyone for 2 weeks. I barely ate, just bread and water. My phone buzzed a few times. Mom called once, then stopped. I didn't answer. Not even Chloe or Sam messaged me. I guess I really was invisible now. But somewhere between those long, cold nights, something in me began to grow. Not anger, not hate. Something else. A question. What if they're wrong? What if I'm not broken? I opened YouTube one night just to feel less alone. I typed, how to heal from trauma. I found a video. A guy with kind eyes was talking straight to the camera. He said something that changed me. You're not crazy. You're just hurt, and hurt can heal. I started watching more videos every day. I wrote things down in a notebook I found in a trash can. Breathe. Take walks. Talk to someone safe. You are not what happened to you. I still couldn't afford therapy, but I found a free support group online. They met on Zoom every Sunday night. The first time I joined, I kept my camera off. I didn't say anything. I just listened. People cried. People shared things they had never told anyone. One girl said, my mom told me I ruined her life, and I believed her for 10 years. Another man said, my dad hit me every time I said I loved art. He wanted a soldier, not a painter. It was like they were reading my soul. For the first time in months, I didn't feel alone. One night after the meeting, I opened my camera and finally spoke. "Hi, I'm Noah," I said quietly. I think I was thrown away." The chat blew up with messages. "You're not trash. You're safe here. We see you." I cried that night, the ugly kind, snot and everything. But it felt good. After that, I started recording short videos on my phone, just me talking to the camera in a dark room. No lights, no filters. I said stuff like, "It's okay if you're not okay," and "You're not lazy, you're tired from carrying too much pain." I used a fake name, J29, so no one knew it was me. At first, 10 people watched, then 100, then 10,000. People commented, "This saved my life," or "How do you know exactly what I'm feeling?" It was wild. I wasn't trying to be famous. I was just healing out loud. One video hit 1 million views.
Brands started emailing me. A book company asked if I wanted to write. A clothing line asked if I wear their hoodie while talking. I said yes. The money started coming in. Slowly at first, then all at once. I moved out of the motel and into a small apartment. It had peeling paint and creaky floors, but it was mine. I could play music loud, dance in the kitchen, burn toast and not feel stupid. I found a therapist. Her name was Miss Hall. She said, "Noah, you were never the broken one. You were the brave one." I smiled for the first time in a long time. I kept working, kept healing, kept talking. People listened. My followers grew to 2 million, then 5. One day, I got a call from a bank manager. He was talking fast. "We have a foreclosure on a property we think you might want to look at, Mr. Daniels." I almost said no, but then he told me the address. My childhood home. My father's house. The one where I sat by the window. The one where I cried myself to sleep. The one where I was told I didn't belong. The one where I was told I was a burden. They were broke now, behind on payments. The house was going to be sold. I felt a shiver run through me. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just said, "I'll take it." I paid in full. In cash. But I didn't move in. Instead, I changed the name on the deed. I created something special. A foundation for people like me. The Discarded Ones Foundation. A place for kids and adults who were pushed out, laughed at, forgotten. People who needed more than just a second chance. They needed a first one. We bought old houses, fixed them up, and turned them into safe homes. We gave out therapy grants, paid for classes, offered jobs. And I kept quiet. No press, no bragging, just impact. Until Christmas came again. That's when I knew. It was time. Time for the final piece. The ending to the story they started. Not for revenge, but for peace. For truth. 1 year later, I returned to the place where I was broken. With a different name, a different soul, and a different kind of power. They thought I disappeared. They thought I gave up. But really, I was rebuilding, piece by piece, quietly. You know what's funny? Sometimes the best revenge is silence. Not shouting, not proving, just becoming. For a whole year, I didn't speak to my family. No texts, no calls, not even a Merry Christmas. And they never reached out either. They just moved on. Or maybe they didn't. I don't know. What I do know is this. While they were posting family pictures on Facebook and praising each other, I was becoming someone I could be proud of. My YouTube videos kept growing. People from all over the world messaged me. Kids in wheelchairs, teens who got kicked out for being different, moms trying to heal from abusive marriages. One girl said, "I showed your video to my dad. He cried for the first time in 20 years. A boy in Australia wrote, "My brother stopped hurting himself because of your words." I couldn't believe it. Me? Noah? The burden? Helping people? Saving lives? It felt unreal, but also right. One day, I got invited to speak at a big event, a TED Talk. I stood on stage wearing a simple hoodie and jeans. My voice shook a little, but my heart was strong. I said, some people grow up in houses that feel like war zones, and some of us walk away, not because we're weak, but because we're finally choosing peace. People stood up when I finished. I cried backstage. I wasn't ashamed anymore. I was proud of my scars. They told my story, and that story was changing the world. Then something happened. I got a letter from the same bank where I bought the house. It said, "Property at 77 Lakewood Drive has entered final foreclosure." It was official. My family had lost the house. I stared at the paper for a long time. I remembered the smell of cinnamon in the kitchen, the way the floor creaked near the stairs, the hiding spot behind the shed where I used to keep my toy robots. But I also remembered the cold stares, the heavy silence, the moment he said, "You're a burden." I still felt it sometimes, that sting, but I had healed enough to stand in it now. I didn't cry when I signed the final papers. I just wrote my name, Noah Daniels, owner. I didn't tell anyone, not even my team. I waited for Christmas Day. I knew they'd still be there. My parents had nowhere else to go. The bank had given them a final notice, but they hadn't left yet. That's how most people are. They only leave when they're forced to. I arrived early in the morning. The sky was pale gray. No snow yet, but the clouds were heavy. I wore a black coat and carried a small box in my hand. Behind me was a man in a suit. He worked for my foundation. His job was simple: hand over the notice. When we reached the front door, I paused. The house looked smaller, not because it had changed, but because I had grown. He knocked. Footsteps. The door creaked open. My father stood there. His eyes were sunken. His belly was smaller, his hair more gray. He looked tired, old, lost. He didn't recognize me at first. Then his eyes widened. "Noah?" I didn't answer. The man beside me spoke instead. "Sir, this property now belongs to the Discarded Ones Foundation. You've been living here illegally since the foreclosure was completed." My father's face went red. "What? That's a lie. This is my house." He snatched the paper from the man's hand. His eyes flew over the words. And then he froze, because at the bottom next to the signature was a name he hadn't seen in a year. Noah Daniels, founder and CEO. His hands trembled. He looked back at me. What is this?" I took a deep breath. "I bought the house," I said, "a year ago." Silence. Not just outside, but in my heart too. For the first time in years, I felt still. He looked like he wanted to scream, but he didn't. He just stepped aside as Mom came into view. She looked smaller, too. Her eyes filled with tears when she saw me. "Noah," she whispered. I gave her a soft smile. Then I stepped inside. The same hallway, same old photos, but everything felt different now. I wasn't the ghost anymore. I was the storm. I walked to the living room and placed the box on the coffee table. Dad followed behind me. "Why are you here?" he asked, voice rough. I turned to face him. "You told me I was a burden," I said quietly. He looked away. "Well," I continued, "now you're trespassing on my property." His jaw clenched. I opened the box. Inside was a single silver key and a folded note. I handed it to him. He didn't want to take it, but he did. His hands opened the paper. He read it in silence. "You were right. I did need to leave. Thank you for showing me who never to become. Merry Christmas." He looked up at me, eyes full of shame, or maybe regret. But I didn't wait for him to speak. I turned to my mom. "Do you want to come with me?" I asked. She looked between me and the man she once defended. She nodded. No suitcase, no coat. Just her and her slippers. We walked out together. Me, Mom, and the man in the suit, back into the cold. But this time, I wasn't walking away broken. I was walking away whole.
The snow finally began to fall. Soft flakes, quiet and gentle, like the sky was washing the pain away. I stood by the car while my mom climbed in. She didn't say much, just held my hand tightly before sitting down. Her fingers were cold, but her touch was warm. We drove away slowly, leaving the house behind. The house I used to beg to belong in. The house where I once felt like a ghost. Now it was mine. But I didn't smile. Not yet, because revenge wasn't the goal. Peace was. We moved into one of the homes for my foundation, a cozy 3-bedroom place with yellow curtains and a porch swing. I let Mom choose the paint colors and the furniture. She said it was the first time in her life someone asked her what she wanted. We baked cookies that night. She burned half of them. We laughed. I slept deeply for the first time in years. But the story wasn't over yet, because word got out. The media found out that I was the voice behind J29. News channels started calling. Trauma survivor builds a mental health empire. Rejected son buys his father's house, gives him the boot. I ignored most of the calls. But one day, I picked up. A journalist asked me, "Why did you really buy the house?" I paused. Then I said, "Because I needed to prove something. Not to them, but to myself. That I wasn't worthless. That I could take pain and turn it into power." The interview went viral, and just like that, people wanted to know more. Podcasts, TV shows, book deals. I started touring, speaking in schools, prisons, churches. I looked people in the eye and said, "You are not your trauma. You are not your diagnosis. You are not a mistake." People cried, hugged me, told me I gave them hope. And every time I thought about the version of me sitting alone on that cold bench, the one who almost gave up, I wish he could see this now. But I never let it make me proud in the wrong way. I kept going to therapy, kept journaling, kept healing. Because healing isn't a finish line. It's a road you walk every day. Then, on Christmas Eve, something unexpected happened. There was a knock at the door. I opened it slowly. And there he stood, my father. He didn't look like a giant anymore. He looked human, small. He held a bag in one hand and a scarf in the other.
His eyes darted around, nervous. I didn't say anything.
He cleared his throat. I heard you moved here. Silence. He shifted on his feet. I brought gingerbread. You always liked those, remember? I raised an eyebrow. Okay, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I had to try. More silence. Finally, I asked, why now? He looked down. Because losing that house made me realize I lost something bigger long before. I lost my son. My chest tightened, but I stayed calm. I am not the same boy you kicked out, I said. He nodded. I know. You became a man I could never be. That line surprised me. We stood there for a few seconds, just breathing. Then I stepped aside. 5 minutes, I said. He came in. He saw Mom in the kitchen. She didn't greet him, just kept stirring soup like he was a ghost. He sat on the couch. I'm in a small apartment now, trying to start over. It's hard. I nodded. He looked at me again. I've been watching your videos, he whispered. At first, to understand what happened to you, but now I watch to understand myself. I didn't respond. I just handed him something from the shelf. It was a picture frame, a photo of me smiling, bright, free. He stared at it, then wiped his eyes. I was wrong, Noah. I see that now. And that was all I needed to hear. Not because I needed his approval, but because sometimes truth sounds best when it comes from the same mouth that once broke you. He didn't stay long, just left the cookies on the table and walked out. But before he closed the door, he turned back and said, "Merry Christmas, son." And for the first time, I said it back. That night, Mom and I danced to Christmas songs in the living room. We wore matching socks. The fire crackled. The lights on the tree blinked softly. And for once, I felt full. Not because of food, but because of love. Real love. The kind that doesn't throw you away when you're broken. The kind that holds you close, even in the dark. As I sat by the window and watched the snow fall, I whispered to myself, you were never a burden. You were just a seed, waiting to grow. And that was the real gift. The end. Don't forget to tell me where you are watching from. Till we meet again, lovelies.